Dr. Grace, I think you can go ahead.
Yeah. Madam has come in. Uma? Uma? A very good morning and welcome to all the viewers for the third day of our national live webinar on stay healthy and keep fit during lockdown. On behalf of Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University, I extend a warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam, the day speakers and learned viewers from all over the world. We will be having 2 sessions today, and I request all the viewers to keep your audio and video on mute, and I also request do not disturb in any manner. Successful completion of this webinar is in your hand. Once again, I request you all to help us to proceed further. Today's first speaker is Mrs. Shiny Surendran, the sports nutritionist and weight management specialist who has got her own clinic in Chennai. She has done many international courses. She is the first Indian to be certified with graduate diploma in sports nutrition from International Olympic Committee. And she has passed level 2 kinanthropometrist. She has given talk in many medias, authored 2 books, attended many international and national seminars on resource persons. Her clients includes international and national cricketers, swimmers, squash, tennis players, badminton, table tennis, and cine fames. At this juncture, I would like to say that she is our Board of Studies member of our university. Such an eminent personality is with us today to share the first session. May I now welcome on behalf of Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University to present her topic. Madam, please.
Good morning, Grace ma'am. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I'm very honored and privileged to be here. And I'm also very happy that I think Sheila Stephen ma'am is here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my career started with YMCA. My career started with the YMCA College of Physical Education, Nandanam. And I've learned a lot being there. And I've known you since those days. So such a a very happy day, in fact, indeed today. Just a minute. I'm just going to be sharing. So do you want me to speak in Hindi a bit, or shall I just go ahead with English completely? Do we have Grace ma'am?
Shiny.
Shall I speak in English?
Yeah, English, completely in English.
Okay, done. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Shall I go ahead? Okay, yeah. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about gut health. This is very, very important because recently I was reading one of the articles where PT Usha ma'am's coach had mentioned, I think it is a very old article, where they said like her hemoglobin level was low for quite some time in spite of a good diet and all that. Okay, so that made me think those days, 1980s and all. Is it possible to mute others? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so so PT Usha apparently has had low hemoglobin levels, and her coach had mentioned this, and this was an article I read somewhere. So I was just thinking that many times we won't be able to connect if someone is eating healthy food, very nourishing foods, rich in iron and calcium and everything, but you do not see appreciable improvement in their blood parameters. Okay, so there's one aspect. there is one aspect which tends to get ignored, and that is gut health. And there's a whole lot of importance which is given to gut health in the past 10 years. If you notice, there are so many research that's coming up. And this is one thing that I really wanted to share with our fraternity, the ones who are working with athletes all the time and also educating as physical education teachers and professors and coaches here. I definitely want to share some of the factors that which we have come across in our regular consultation. So we all know how important health is, and it is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease, as the World Health Organization states. So it's very important to maintain this kind of a health in all spheres of life. Okay. And gut health is something which is very, very important. And over the past few years, we would have seen how some of the top cricketers, as well as the tennis champion, has also spoken about his health issues and how gluten intolerance and lactose intolerance was an issue for him. And he had changed his diet, after which he went ahead to perform extremely well. So when it comes to Djokovic, in 2010 he had lost a match against a player, and one of the doctor who was watching the match at his home felt that there was something wrong, and he approached Djokovic's father, and then later got to meet Djokovic, and then he gave few recommendations, and the diagnosis which really helped him was the gluten or the food intolerance. Okay, so that made a big improvement in his performance. So you might wonder, what should you be looking at as physical education teachers or coaches or teachers in schools as well as colleges who are handling athletes all the time? So there could be times that they are doing everything right, sleeping on time, and then eating supposedly healthy food, and then maintaining their pre and post workout hydration as well as food, and still their energy levels are not improving at all. So you should all become like doctor detectives and consider, or rather make sure that you look at one of these issues that we are going to be discussing about. So the gut is very, very crucial. A gut and brain has a very strong connection, and all the nutrients are getting absorbed there. So in case you have any kind of allergens, or in case you have any issue digesting, it could be a food allergy or it could be a food intolerance. But today primarily we are going to be discussing about food intolerance, and this can really have a big impact on all of these. So there could be bloating, acidity issues, there could be migraines. Okay, if someone is constantly getting sinusitis and all of that, that also could affect tremendously. So that's another important factor that one should keep in mind. And also digestion gets hampered to a great extent. And even if you're eating iron rich food or a nutritionally balanced, macro micro everything balanced kind of a diet, you could still have issues absorbing or absorbing all the nutrients. Okay, this is one of the important factors that one needs to remember. What are the factors which could influence the gut or the gastrointestinal system? Okay, so heavy exercise itself sometimes can affect the gut. Another thing is also one needs to train an athlete over a period of time. So there are factors to trains the player over of time, and it is highly variable. And when a coach is working with one of with the athlete, one has to figure out and work with them over long term to understand what suits them, and what is the best possible way to maximize their exercise performance. Okay, diet and supplements. See, there are so many diets and media talks about it. So there are these fad diets which really catch the attention of a lot of people, and athletes might go ahead and practice some of the diets without even informing the coach or the trainer. And sometimes they might not even take a help from a professional nutritionist. Okay, also supplements. Supplements is a huge factor when it comes to an athlete's diet. So we really wouldn't know the number of supplements that they are taking, where they are sourcing it from, what is the quality, is it a dope free supplement, or is it senior players said that it was quite helpful for them and they went ahead to purchase it. and unless they reveal what is there, because we never get to see what they're using in their house, so we wouldn't have a clue of what they're doing. Sometimes it could be drugs, but for cold or any kind of medical issues, but if that has not been revealed during the assessment, even this is one of the factors which affect the gut. Antibiotic usage also is another major factor, where once you get a prescription, not many would go back to the doctor again, and they might end up using the same antibiotic. So self medication is another big problem. Environmental toxins also contribute a lot. So the food storage process, the food cooking, and every aspect of the food, whatever one is consuming, at every stage, from purchasing to cleaning and washing, as well as storage and cooking, the hygiene has to be maintained, because microbial contamination is the biggest factor, and that itself can affect the gut health of an athlete. Another factor is also the endocrine disruptors, which can also come in through the use of vessels, or it could be chemicals. So it will be good to consider using organically grown foodstuffs. That is also a very important, crucial factor. And genetics also. So when I say genetics, so there's always this question asked, like, how do we find out whether one has gluten or lactose intolerance? And most often it is just by giving a simple saliva sample, and the lab will be able to give a result in 3 weeks. So this clearly indicates whether one has gluten or lactose intolerance. If you do not want to go to the lab, another simplest thing that you can do is to do an elimination test by maintaining a food journal and making a note of whatever you eat and drink. So if the coach can ask the student or the athlete to make a note of whatever they are consuming, and then see a pattern, and if you could work closely with a professional sports nutritionist, it'll be of great help to find out what it is. Okay, so gluten intolerance can be figured out this way, in case you are in a city where you don't have the facility for genetic tests. Okay, so this is a review paper on the role of gut microbiome in personalized sports nutrition. So personalized sports nutrition is the word of the day, which means everybody is getting benefited when their diets are customized according to their body type. Because we see a lot of people in the past couple of years, there's been a surge of cases where people are not having gluten celiac disease, but there is a non-celiac gluten sensitivity, or sometimes even lactose intolerance. Okay, and it will manifest as bloating, gas, or else constant throat infections, falling sick too often, having sinusitis, because of which they miss the sessions in the ground. Okay, so if you find any of these, or sometimes if it is unexplained anemia, even that could be one of the factors where you can suspect a problem with the gastrointestinal system. Okay, so gut microbiome is like very, very crucial. And if someone is going to the pharmacy and picking up products without a doctor's prescription, they do quite a lot of damage, and that can also loosen the intestinal cells and cause a whole lot. It's a cascade of problems that could trigger. So it is very important that one meets the doctor for any kind of medication. Okay, and please share these kind of information with the professionals that you're working with. So it could be the physiotherapist or else the nutritionist. So one needs to really reveal whatever medication you're taking, and of course first consultation should be with the sports physician. So what happens in our daily life is the exercise, training, active lifestyle, and there are so many other environmental factors which I had mentioned, and also the fresh food, or else the quality of food that one is eating. So when everything is perfect, the internal milieu will be great, and this is eubiosis, which means it's all perfectly balanced. Okay, but when there is a problem, okay, it could be because of like overtraining, or else not really following the principles of sports nutrition. This could be hydration, and then pre-workout and post-workout, if methodologies are not being strictly followed, and if one is not sleeping on time, or if there is drug usage, medications basically, or supplements which actually do not suit your system. If all this happens, there could be dysbiosis, and this causes a lot of gut permeability, which means the tightly packed cells of the lining of your stomach lining, that could actually be affected, and because of which there's a lot of inflammation. So basically you just need to understand when these kind of things happen, like you might be giving exercises to a whole lot of your students or athletes, but then you're not getting the appreciable results in terms of increase in muscle mass, okay, or the recovery is not happening properly, or their energy levels are not great, where their stamina and endurance are badly affected, and you don't see great results. So it's not the problem with your training methodology, it's probably because they have something like this, and then this is one factor that you never really focused on. So it'll be great to discuss with the doctor and also take the help of a sports nutritionist, so that this can be tackled, because one really needs to go deep and then look into every aspect of what they're eating and drinking, and what suits and what doesn't suit. Okay, so this becomes a vicious cycle, because of which the immune system gets affected. So you would have heard about autoimmune diseases. So you do have rheumatoid arthritis and lichen planus and a whole lot of other autoimmune diseases that is also connected to the gut microbiota. So your gut is so very crucial, and it is important that we maintain healthy bacteria there, so that the exercise performance as well as a lot of health issues can be prevented beautifully. Okay, so these are the risk factors. There could be just that, the age is one of the issues. So we get to see, as you get older, the acid secretion also decreases a lot, especially in elderly population, and they have trouble digesting a lot of foodstuffs. Then the Western diet. So if someone is not eating the traditional food and then taking a lot of foodstuffs which is available outside most of the time, the risk factors are quite high for any kind of gut issues. Sedentary lifestyle is another, but this is not something which is relevant for our athletic population. Antibiotic use as well as chronic stress. So juggling life, personal life, professional life, if one is not getting selected for any kind of sports, that also causes a lot of stress. Now, this can directly affect the gastrointestinal system. So there could be a lot of inflammation, and because of which there are so many other health issues which crop up, right? So there are also people who go under calorie restricted diets, self-professed diet without taking professional help, and there could be a whole lot of things that they overlook, for instance prebiotic as well as probiotic. That is also important. So a lot of people are giving up on dairy products, and when they read things of like how cricketers have turned into vegan, some of the top cricketers and our tennis players and all of that, so when they read in the media, immediately they just give up on dairy products, not actually finding a replacement for the probiotics. So usually it is curd and the buttermilk that we use quite often in our traditional Indian diets, and suddenly they just stop. So a complete food group is gone, and then you're not replacing it properly, and over a period of time, this also damages the system. So this is one of the study that I wanted to share. It clearly shows the link between the gut microbiota and athletic performance. Okay, so this is one thing that we shouldn't ignore at all. So let's pay attention to that. And in a very healthy status, your central nervous system and your gastrointestinal system. So what you eat, what you observe, what you assimilate are very, very important. And this directly affects the brain function. I'll give you a simple example. 10 years back, I had this issue. I was eating wheat products for all the three meals without even realizing I was sensitive to gluten, and I used to feel very dull and sleepy in spite of a very healthy lifestyle. Go to bed at 10 o'clock, wake up at around 6 a.m. in the morning, get adequate sunlight, exercise in spite of all of this. So now this affected the brain function, which means I was just feeling dull and tired and lethargic, not even able to study a book properly. So once I removed the gluten from my diet, in 15 days' time, the problem I had for 3 years vanished, and I became absolutely fine in 15 days just by removing gluten from my diet. So where is gluten? Gluten is a protein that you will find in wheat, rye, and barley. Okay, so multigrain breads, biscuits, the chapatis, the dalia upma, the wheat dosa that you have, all that could have gluten. I'm not telling everyone could have this problem. A little few people of the population could be sensitive to gluten, and that can impair your behavior, cognition, emotion, and you will keep interpreting this as just another acidity or a gastric problem. Okay, so this is again autoimmunity. So most of the autoimmune problems that we face, usually when a diagnosis comes, one is very upset. Okay, so there's this whole lot of things. It could be alopecia, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or else it could be type 1 diabetes, hepatitis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. All of these are autoimmune diseases, and gut health plays a big role. Okay, so gut is called as a second brain. So this is one thing which one should not ignore. So as physical education teachers and coaches who are there, and as researchers, I think we need to focus a lot more on Indian foods and how we can improve the gut health of all our athletes and enhance the sports performance. So there's something called as leaky gut syndrome. So as I mentioned earlier, the tightly packed cells in the intestines could get affected, because of which undigested particles will escape to the blood circulation. So what you really need to focus on is remove the foodstuffs which cause a lot of harm to the gastrointestinal system. Repair the gut. So that is where you need to eat clean, hygienic, whole foods, and eat wholesome foods that's available in your city. So choose locally grown foods. Restore the gut with a lot of probiotics. So fermented foods. Down south we call it as pariyasadam or fermented rice that has probiotic, and when you add buttermilk and take it, it is really good. Also millets which are pounded, and then when you add buttermilk and have it as a kuru or a kanji or a porridge, the fermentation overnight helps in a lot of healthy bacteria. So this is also very beneficial. And also replace, so digestive enzymes which you will find in papaya as well as in pineapple. So you'd have heard about papain which is there in papaya, and bromelain which is there in pineapple. So eating a cup of fresh fruits will be great. For some people they might need some enzyme medications also to help or support in digestion. In elderly people, the stomach acids secretion itself could be quite low, and this one of the factors is also zinc deficiency. So micronutrients really need a lot of attention. There's another health issue called as IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. You must have heard about it. So in one day, they might have 6 or 7 times they will pass motion. So this kind of bowel movement can disrupt their performance. So they might just want to start the activity or practice session, but then they keep running to the restroom. So if they have these kind of issues, again, Fodmap's diet is something which is very, very useful. One should meet up with a clinical dietitian and sit with them and figure out what needs to be done, because this is a big nuisance, because on a daily basis, daily life itself gets affected, and a lot of regular foods also doesn't suit them. For instance, too much of fruits itself might not be very helpful for people with IBS. Okay, so one really needs to sit with a nutritionist to figure out how to manage the diet. So the spasms, or else, there are also some teas which might help, and then there are certain foods which need to be avoided completely. Maintaining a food diary is very, very helpful, and discussing with the physician and the sports nutritionist will be helpful. So this is just a glimpse of the low FODMAP diet. So these are things which are usually suitable, so that is why it's highlighted in green, and this is the one in red. So it will be good to avoid that. So if you notice, things that we eat normally are avoided. Fruits, there are milk products which are avoided, and there are some of these gluten crackers, or else the wheat biscuits that we constantly have, or watermelon, that has to be avoided. And also rajma chana that we have usually with the rotis, those things also need to be avoided for people with this condition. And a whole lot of fruits also will not suit them. And one has to look at the sorbitol or malitol, any of this which is added to the chewing gum. So you never know where the trigger is sitting. So that's why professional help will be of great use. Hormones and gut also has a connection. So if your intestine has some issue, it can affect your hormones as well. So this shows the connection of female hormones. So estrogen also gets really affected. So basically one needs to understand whether you're a male athlete or a female athlete, make sure that your intestines are very, very healthy. Common inflammatory foods or anything that can affect your intestines are usually gluten, which I mentioned in wheat, barley, as well as rye. And you also have these gluten-free grains can be utilized. So rice is absolutely safe to take, and also millets are safe to take. Dairy products might harm a lot of people. Legumes will have to be soaked and also roasting, and and that also will be very beneficial. And sometimes soy is one of the culprit because it also has trypsin inhibitors. That is another thing to be watched out for. Corn, again, nightshades, that will be your brinjal, capsicum, those kind of, these are called as nightshade vegetables. You might have to just remove that from the diet if one is sensitive. Eggs, citrus, as well as yeast, so your bakery products. So these are some of the anti-inflammatory foods. These are things that you might have to include in the daily diet for a lot of benefit, and this makes a huge difference. As far as Indian population is concerned, I would say stick to the rice, and then have mung chilla, besan chilla, which is usually your chana dal flour, or dal based idlis or dosas, and millets. So you have a lot of variety in our country. So food allergy is something which can be life threatening, but please understand, food intolerance will only give a lot of bloating and gassiness and flatulence. So food intolerance will not kill, but it can actually just reduce your performance and the way your brain functions, and it can also affect the sports performance, right? So you must have heard about peanut allergy and how somebody had consumed that and then resulted in a very serious condition. So allergies are a different ball game altogether, and intolerance is more to do with the digestive system and those kind of issues. So these are the common food allergens. You must have heard about a whole lot of people who were just eating peanuts, and the one sitting next to them also kind of got triggered. So a recent news that you would have seen in one of the airlines, this had happened because one was eating peanuts and the person sitting next to them had peanut allergy. So allergy is different, and for that you need a skin prick test. Okay, so these are the ones which are gluten rich, and these are the symptoms. So there could be skin problems. So it could be acne, or else could be a lot of reddishness. Okay, the inflammation, bloating. Your tummy will be like really big. So which means you could be exercising a lot to have a slim waist, but you do not get to see a slim waist even after so much of hard work. So this could be also because of the inflammation of the gut. Constipation, in spite of eating fruits and vegetables and taking quite a lot of fiber and water, you do not see any improvement in the bowel movement. So you could probably suspect a gluten issue, gluten sensitivity. Abdominal pain could be a problem, breathing difficulty, chest congestion, headaches, poor concentration, as well as tiredness. This is the symptoms that you get to see with lactose intolerance. So diarrhea, flatulence, rumbling sound, abdominal pain, cramping, as well as nausea. So these issues also. So things to avoid will be milk in any form. Okay. So I had already mentioned about how Djokovic had this issue. He even wrote a book called Serve to Win. It's a very interesting book. I think you should get a chance to read it. Okay, so what are the key factors to focus? Probiotics. So this is very important to reduce the inflammation in the gut, and also it increases the number of activity in the cells to fight off the infection. So the more good probiotics, healthy probiotics or beneficial bacteria are there living in your intestine, you have an advantage. Nutrient absorption. So for an athlete, it is very important that whatever he eats, he is able to absorb the maximum out of the food stuff. So absorption, assimilation, all this is very crucial for his bone health, skeleton health, overall wellness, as well as to maintain better iron status, as well as B complex and other vitamins. Reduce the inflammation, because this is very crucial, and a good antioxidant in the form of a wide variety of fruits and vegetables will be beneficial. And maintaining stable blood sugar level. So when the blood sugar goes up and down, there won't be consistency in the exercise performance. So everything is connected to the gut health. So hope you understand how important it is. So these are all the factors that can really affect the athlete. So insulin sensitivity, everything will be better. Inflammation will be reduced. Anxiety or unnecessary stress, all that can be overcome just by tweaking the diet and paying more attention to this. And there'll be better energy expenditure. You will see appreciable improvement in the muscle mass also. This is one of the review paper in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. So if you need any of these papers, I can send it across. I'll share it with Grace, madam. Okay, so basically one needs to understand respiratory infections are very common among some of the athletes, and there could be a connection to this, and probiotic supplementation seems to help a lot. Okay, this is one. And then there could be other issues like also rheumatoid arthritis or else gout and all that. And appreciable improvements have been seen because of the gut health, improvement in gut health with the use of probiotic. So water or hydration is crucial. This is going to really help a lot. Underhydration or being dehydrated is bad, but overhydration can also kill a person. So understand how much you require. So optimal hydration is what I would advocate, and one needs to see the environmental condition, humidity, and the individual himself themselves. Some of them may have hyperhidrosis, which means sweating quite a lot. Okay, which is so unusual. We usually get to see that in teenage population because their hormones are at its peak, and teenage athletes end up sweating a lot, and it kind of stabilizes after few years. Okay, and okay, this is the strategy to take care of the gut health. So if you see week one, when you're working with some athletes, what you can tell them is make sure that you're focusing on the sleep, remove the gadgets, and then have some relaxation techniques just before going to bed, and then start a ritual of waking up in the morning, sitting in the sunlight, and telling your body that this is daylight and this is night. So after that is sunset, it's best not to use too many gadgets, use your phone and laptops and all that, because if you're constantly watching, it's going to impair the gut health and also the performance. And if the sleep is messed up, insulin, leptin, ghrelin resistance can take place. But another thing to worry about will be the testosterone secretion as well as the growth hormone secretion. So, which is very important for child athletes, adolescent athletes, as well as elite athletes who are trying to uh, maximize their exercise performance. Okay, so first week you could focus on reducing stress, so yoga will be helpful, meditation techniques, and then ensuring that you do things that really reduce your stress levels, any kind of hobby also. Sugar levels can be cut out, and then reduce the omega 6, which means any foodstuffs like bhaji, bonda, samosas, anything that's fried in a lot of omega 6 rich oils can be avoided, and remove sugars from the diet. This will also help a lot with the gut health. And the week third will be using a lot of antioxidants, including chia seed, sabja seed. Resistant training will also help a lot, weight bearing exercises, and include turmeric because it has curcumin, green tea because it has polyphenols as well as antioxidants, and exercise moderately because you don't want to stress your body so much, because you're trying to give it rest and helping it recover beautifully. And among oils, we usually recommend coconut oil, which is very beneficial. That also can be taken because it has medium chain triglycerides. Okay, and see, if you're not getting berries and all, because this is all a slide which I took from a Western source. The best berries in India will be to use amla, which is gooseberry, or nellika that we call it, or you can use kala jamun, or the purple colored berries that we call as navel padam. Okay, and also elandapadam. So in your city, whichever small berries that you get, please eat that. That will be loaded with antioxidants and all the polyphenols that you need. Include flax seeds, that is also really good. And eat a lot of fish during this phase because the healing process will be much faster. And I also recommend mutton bone broth or mutton bone soup because it has glutamine and a whole lot of vitamins and minerals which will help in the gut repair. Okay, another most important factor to check is also the sleep, as I mentioned. And sleep, and most of your serotonin is synthesized by your gut microbe. Okay, so serotonin keeps you nice and happy and in a great mood. So your gut health is so very crucial. That's why I call it the meaning. Most scientists always refer to it as the second brain, and it also produces GABA, GABA that we call it, because if GABA is low, you will have trouble with the sleep. Okay, so the entire gastrointestinal system has an impact on the body, head to toe. It has so many beneficial effects. So please pay attention to this as well. And you must have known how PV Sindhu, before preparing for her world championship, she was asked by her coach to sleep on time, not to use gadgets, and then she could recover properly, and her main focus was on training and then getting her techniques right as she went ahead to win the world championship, bringing a lot of laurels for our country. So this is the best example that I could think of. Banning the gadget usage and sleeping on time. All these things have a big impact. Prebiotic and probiotic in your gut, so you need both of them. So these are examples of the prebiotics. So homemade curd, there's something called as kombucha, which is also good, and pickled vegetables that also can be used. So make pickles at home. And there's miso and tempeh, which is soya based, and kefir is also there. It's available online. You get kefir granules. I can even share the number of someone available, someone in erode, who is also providing kefir, so you can contact them. So I'll share this information with Grace madam. Prebiotic foods are nothing but, see, forget leeks and celery. You just have to use a lot of onions, and then see the palm fruit, or we call it as the panam kirangu. That is also good. Okay, and onions, and then raw plantain, and these have a lot of fiber. Even plantain stem, or which we call as varathandu, has fiber, which provides the substrate for these organisms to grow and thrive in the intestine. So you need a good amount of local fruits and vegetables, millets, ancient rice. So when I say ancient rice, I'm talking about Kavani arisi, Mapala Samba arisi, and then you have Tuya Malli and a whole lot of black rice, bamboo rice, which are so very beneficial for the health. So focus on that, and you will see great benefits. These are some of the takeaway points from this paper, the gut microbiome in health and disease. You can probably take an image. So basically, understand that you need to focus a lot on gut microbiota, and the impact that the gut has on the entire body should not be underestimated. But unfortunately, in conventional medicine, it does happen. And gut is responsible for our ability to turn food into fuel, to absorb, and also to create certain nutrients, to rid the body of harmful toxins on a daily basis. So this is a quote by Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a functional medicine expert. I would like to stop the presentation and take any questions if you have any.
Shiny, it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for an excellent presentation with slides and other items. Now, the viewers, there are so many viewers have asked questions. Shall I ask you?
Or shall I look at the chat box and
No, no, no. Let me ask one by one and you will answer
sure,
for
ma'am.
it.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. The
Thank you.
first, yeah, the first questions, the athletes are now at home, right? More than 60 days. And as a sports nutritionist, it is a must for one who is coaching in the field, and they are going and attending the coaching every day. And during their competition, whether the sports nutrition is must during the practice and during the competition.
It is very important to hire a nutritionist by every sports association in the country. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Very sadly, it is the trainers, strength and conditioning specialists, as well as physiotherapists who step in and do their job. How many sports dietitians are getting hired, and are they traveling with the team? No, that's a sad story. Very few people are investing. So usually it is the doctor who steps in, or else the doctor is too busy handling a whole lot of injuries and couple of other, maybe even admin work and all that. I would say every sports association should hire a sports nutritionist. You must have seen in this presentation how important it is. Like, there are so many factors. You can't ignore the role of a sports nutritionist. I think India has reached a point where there's so much to do, and we have a good qualified bunch of people. And there's also an association for sports and fitness sciences, ASFNS. If you
Yeah.
need the link, kindly register, because we all need to work together and raise the standards in India.
Yeah, thank you. And during your presentation, you said that as a sports nutritionist, you have understood the gluten problem. But for lay people or athletes, how they will be coming to knowing about gluten problem, and what are the symptoms of lactose and gluten tolerance, please?
Okay, okay. So, as I had shown in one of the slides, the basic symptoms that you should look out for is constipation. Okay, some keep on passing gas, which is called as flatulence. Okay, another thing will be acidity or heartburn. So, if you're constantly burping a lot as you're talking to people, it will be quite embarrassing. You end up burping several times in a day. And another thing is also headaches, sinusitis, and allergies. There could be a lot of acne, which we call as pimples, right? So there could be acne. For some people, it comes even on the back, on their upper back also there could be acne. So in spite of eating a healthy diet, you might not see any change. And energy levels being extremely low. So it could be an athlete who slept at the right time that you are telling, and still they come back and say my recovery is bad. These are people who will go and use a supplement. You don't want that situation where doping is a big issue. So the main thing is go and sit with the nutritionist to understand where the problem is coming from, and whether a change in the diet will really make a big difference. So symptoms to watch out for are all of this, feeling tired, sleepy in spite of a good sleep, in spite of eating a healthy diet, having a lot of acidity issues, unable to pass motion comfortably, bowel movements being hampered.
Yeah, uh, this webinar is watched by so many athletes and coaches and trainers, Shiny. And here, which is better by replacing fluids during the sport, water or sport drinks?
Okay, for less than 1 hour, I think plain water is more than sufficient. Okay, but there could be athletes who sweat a lot. I have worked with few tennis players, badminton players who were sweating profusely as though they got drenched in a rain. Their shoes would be wet. Just 1 hour itself, they will be sweating so badly. If that is the case, if you are that kind of an individual, then it is better that you take a sport drink. And do check, you'll have to test it all before the competition starts. So during your off season is when you go ahead and try make all these things and figure out which formulation suits you. So I've noticed quite a lot of, there are some Indian products which are very beneficial, that has helped a lot. And so figure out what works before the competition starts. Okay, so plain
Okay.
water is enough for most people, unless of course you're sweating profusely. But if you're training more than 1 hour in a very hot and humid place, say for instance Tamil Nadu, Chennai and all that, then you might need some electrolyte drink. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And other question is how hot water therapy can reduce fat, whether it is true or what?
Absolutely not. I think no. So we can all just go ahead and eat up biryani and fried foods and samosas, chaat, and then just keep drinking hot water. India will never have an obese population. Forget
Okay.
it.
Right. Can you tell us that advise them small exercise during menstrual period? Menstrual period, what kind of foods as well as the exercise could be taken?
Okay, I'm not a certified exercise specialist. Devi Meena is here, so probably she can give some inputs. As far as menstruation is concerned, it's not only those 3 or 4, 5 days that one changes the diet. I don't advocate that. It'll be great if you can eat healthy every single day. You wake up, brush your teeth, have a bath, right? Just like that, every single day, the main meals and the snack that you eat and the beverages that you choose to drink should be of very high quality. Just like how you would build your house with the best possible raw material so that the house withstands the temperature and the ravages of nature, the body that you want to build, the body that you want to maintain should be filled with high quality, high biological value foodstuffs and nutrients. That is very crucial. So especially for women who have a lot of pain during menstruation, my recommendations would be to ensure that you eat a whole range of dal varieties and also whole grains, unpolished rice. I mentioned even ancient rice, so that is also really helpful because Mapala Samba Arasi basically has a lot of iron in it. And you also have black rice and a couple of others which are highly nutritious. And besides that, reduce the coffee or caffeine. For some people, caffeine doesn't suit. Reduce the salt intake, sodium in the form of vattal, vadagam, pickles, sauces, ketchups, and all that. But try to have a lot of potassium rich foods. Basically, eat half a kg vegetables and have 3 to 5 fruits a day and eat a handful of nuts every day. That will also help you a lot. These are things that I would tell straight away. And B complex vitamins are extremely beneficial for women who are menstruating. And of course, iron rich food, calcium rich food, and take deworming medications because the intestinal worms could also interfere with your iron absorption.
Yeah, thank you, Shiny. Another question. People, those who are attending wedding or other functions, they go straight away, have their food, and come back to last to have the fruits and other items. So, whether the fruit should be taken first or last, they're asking questions, please.
Okay. So it'll be good to have it before because
Yeah.
there are so many enzymes which will actually kind of set the stage and it will help you digest the food. That will be great. But the worst thing is the ice cream that we add, the carrot halwa or the gulab jamun that goes along with it is the worst thing. One
Yes.
thing, thank you, ma'am, for asking this question. I want to emphasize that a lot of people have the habit of drinking tea or coffee along with their tiffin. Okay, you might
Yeah.
be having a bowl of fruits and then have tea or coffee with that in the evening, or along with your breakfast when you're having bread and eggs or else a egg dosa and have fruits, sprouts, everything nutritious, but then you gulp down a cup of coffee or tea with it. They have tannins which will inhibit the iron absorption. So you might eat a variety of nutritious food, but you're not, absorbing everything because you drank that coffee with that. So kindly watch out. There should be a gap of at least 1 hour.
Yeah, yeah. Another question is they are asking relationship of IBS with blood pressure and lipid profiles.
See, with IBS, I think you really need to go in depth. I don't see a relationship with blood pressure and what is the other one, man?
Lipid profile.
Lipid profile. So you're hardly absorbing nutrients in that case. Okay, you're not getting a wide range of nutrients. You're really having trouble with the reabsorption from the small intestine and all that. So I don't see a relationship. I don't know. I'm being honest here, but then it's very important to work with a good gastroenterologist and a nutritionist who has done a FODMAPs. There is a certification and all that. So dietitians do some higher studies on that.
Okay. Could you explain in 2 lines that remedies for stomach blotting?
Okay, okay.
Bloating. Yeah.
Okay, for bloating, I would suggest that one is while eating, do not keep chatting because every time you're going to be like talking a lot, sometimes you're swallowing food and not paying attention to chewing. Okay, you need to chew several times because the digestion starts right here. Your saliva has an enzyme called ptyalin, and the digestion starts right in the mouth. Next thing is do not watch anything which stimulates your brain, which means watching television news. Okay, it can really get you stressed and you will end up secreting a lot of gastric acids, right? And attending phone calls and then eating your meals or reading something in a magazine which disturbs you or probably even makes you way too happy also. So overstimulation is not a great idea. While you're eating, remove all the distraction, pay attention only to what you're eating, and bless the food, bless the people who have cooked that and put that on your plate. I think that's crucial. Avoid tamarind. Okay, the kara korambu, vatta korambu can do a lot of damage to your gut. Adding too much of garam masala and spices and long gaps between meals also can be a big problem. And in case you have gluten or lactose intolerance, that itself can give you acidity. So food intolerance, understand what suits, what doesn't. So kindly maintain a food diary for the next 3 months. You will be able to do your own mix and match and eliminate the foodstuffs, and you can really overcome a lot of acidity this way. But first, get a clearance from a gastroenterologist. It could be something else beyond diet which is troubling you.
Yeah. Thank you. And other question: is it advisable to take fenugreek regularly, and how it has to be taken?
Okay, fenugreek or the methi seeds are very, very beneficial. In fact, I recommend one of my senior dietitian friend had helped me understand that it has saponins and it helps in stabilizing blood sugar. And she works with a lot of women with infertility. So she encourages them to take it. The women with PCOD or the ones who are trying to conceive, she gives them quite a lot of that. She spreads it across the day and she gives like 6 to 8 or even 10 spoons a day. But then you gradually step it up. So soak the fenugreek overnight and then have it first thing in the morning. Soak the fenugreek in drinking water and please swallow it along with the water. Okay, it's a little bitter, so don't try to chew and you might not have it on a daily basis. That will be the first and last day that you consumed fenugreek. Or else you can dry roast it, powder it, and add it to the buttermilk that you're consuming. And for all the dal and the sabzi that you're making, any gravy that you're preparing, please temper it with fenugreek. Okay, it is
Okay.
extremely beneficial to stabilize blood sugar levels, reduce your lipids, for promoting even infertility issues. It will help a lot. It's too good.
Yeah. Thank you. The other question is: does high carbohydrate diet also gives rise to symptoms like gluten allergy?
No, no.
Not at all.
You see, it depends on where the carbohydrate is coming from. So when you say carbohydrate, it is present there in your fruits, vegetables, in the form of lactose in the milk. It is there, of course, in all the grains and the vegetables, right? So when you say grains, there is RYE, rye, and then there is barley and wheat, which is also a grain. This has gluten. That's what I mentioned. It definitely has gluten. So besides eating the biscuits, if someone is drinking single malt whiskey or beer or any of these beverages which are made out of fermented barley, or if there is wheat, anything as a starting material, then it will have gluten. Okay, so kindly avoid these. It's not, don't blame all the carbohydrates. These are the three things which have gluten.
Okay. Uh, some other question is the players when they are doing longer time period of workout, when they lose energy, what kind of remedy they can take during the workout?
Okay, see, the best will be to eat a balanced diet. As I mentioned, half a kg vegetable, 3 to 5 fruits a day, sleeping on time, hydration, and getting adequate protein. Indian diets are pretty deficient in protein. And another thing that you should remember is if you're eating a cup of chana or rajma, 50% is carbohydrate sitting there. Okay, so don't fool yourself by telling that, oh, this is 100% protein that I'm consuming. No, but I'm not asking you to avoid dal. Please eat dal. Okay, soak it, ferment it, pressure cook it. Okay, all those things, do the right way. But understand it also has carbohydrates in dal. So you have to pay attention to the amount of protein you're getting. And that is one of the major factors that I find in Indian athletes being very deficient. Next thing is sport drink or getting electrolytes. So before even the game starts, 2 hours before that itself, drink 1 liter or half a liter of water or an electrolyte drink. The previous day itself, you should have topped your body with a good hydration levels, because once you start playing, you lose a lot of water. So focus on hydration. After the game, also carry a recovery snack, eat there in the ground itself. And once you're finished, because in the traffic jam, by the time you reach home, you lose out on time. The eating window period after the game or the practice session is important. And the following meal, you should have a little extra sodium. Either eat non-veg or have vadagam vatal pickle, homemade pickle, so that you're getting some sodium back in your diet. Whatever you lost through sweat, go to bed at 10 o'clock. It's not about 8 hours of sleep. You need to be in alignment with the circadian rhythm. So go to bed at 10, which means you should be in bed at 9:30.
Yeah. Nowadays they talk about RO water and aqua water is not good, and whether how to take the water, ordinary water or hot water, whether they can take ice water in between, and so on and so forth. Could you please explain about that? Yeah.
Ma'am, there is a lot of controversy about RO water. I've been seeing,
Uh,
like, we dietitians also have a group where we keep sharing research papers and all that. So it is still in a gray area. We don't have conclusive reports to say that, but there is some amount of discussion going on about that as to how it leaches all the minerals. And it's best that you drink water. So best is, in case you have a good supply of fresh water, boil it nicely or use your traditional old fashioned filter. That is still fine. You can go ahead. But another big problem that we face in India is also the quality of water that you're getting. The pipes that are carrying the water, it could be having lead, and there could be, a whole lot of rusting. So is the plumbing system good? And what are the chemicals or the other contaminants that's coming through your water pipe is another huge issue. So it is a double-edged sword. It's about hygiene, it's about heavy metals, and then it's a tough question to answer. I would say do what works for you in your city. If possible, boil the water and drink, but boil it really well and cool it and then have it.
Okay, maybe last two questions. And yesterday, Madam Banti was explaining about how to set the curd, and the curd must be prepared at home. And whether the curd, which are getting it from outside in the shop, whether it has got the whole bacteria, good bacteria, they're asking.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there are good companies which are making curd that is good. It is beneficial for someone who lives in a hostel or a paying guest accommodation. So you could be from some other district, but then you've come to the city to for better opportunities or to study in a university, and you're playing for the university. Okay, so in that kind of a situation, you don't have a choice but to go ahead and buy these kind of curd. So a good multinational company, the ones which have a good infrastructure, I think you can definitely go ahead and buy those products and have it. But if you have access to homemade curd, If you're living with your family members, go ahead and make curd at home. That's my strong recommendation.
Excellent. And the last question regarding the athletes, they are staying at home for during this lockdown for more than 60 days. And once they, after the lockdown, they go to the ground. And what kind of menu plan they could plan for it? And because they will be starting their workout and so on and so forth. So could you please recommend some menu plan?
Yeah, I'll give you some general guidelines. Okay,
Yeah.
so whatever kashayams you've been taking while you're at home, maybe a nilavembu or anything that is recommended by the Ayush. Government of India has been sharing a lot of information in Arogya Setu app and all that. So kindly take that kashayam regularly. Don't miss that out. Include ginger, garlic, and all the other spices which is there in our spice box in our kitchens, and eat anything that's available locally, whichever city you are in, whichever district you are in, whatever grows there, support the local farmers, eat the farm fresh vegetables because you know for sure it's coming fresh to you without any kind of chemicals added. At least get hold of a farmer who's into organic farming. That'll be great. You reduce the chemical load to a great extent. And as I mentioned, eat a variety of grains, pulses, fruits, vegetables, dairy products. This is called as the food diversity score because, for example, among the fruits, do not eat only banana, but eat everything that comes in season. So mangoes and jackfruit and all that. It has nutrients which will protect you from the disease that comes during summer. So that's why you should have seasonal fruits and vegetables. Okay. So step up your diversity score. Okay.
Ah,
And I wish all of you the best post lockdown. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. And thank you, Grace Madam and Sheila Madam, our Vice Chancellor Madam, all the professors here who have given me this opportunity to be part of this webinar.
yeah, thank you so much, Shiny. It was a great indeed to have had you, and you have given a wonderful lecture on this gut health, and started with Djokovic, my favorite player in tennis. Thank you so much, and you have covered almost all the aspects in gut health. Thank you, and I hope that viewers would have enjoyed this whole session. Thank you once again for your good explanation for the questions.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you so much. And this is the certificate issued to you by the university. And we are very, very honored for your presentation. Thank you so much. And please accept the certificate. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Such a
Thank,
privilege being here.
thank you, ma. Yeah, shall we move to the second session of the day? Will be shared by Mrs. Devi Meena Sundaram. She is basically a computer engineer and MBA graduate and turned into fitness specialist. She stayed in Singapore for more than 14 years, and she is one of the best internationally accredited celebrity fitness instructor in town. She is qualified herself and have many certifications such as CrossFit Level 1 trainer, weightlifting personal trainer from ACE, strength training and conditioning coach, kettlebell fitness and condition. And she is the first and only certified instructor for strength endurance from New Zealand, cancer and exercise specialist course. Recently, she received Women Achiever Award by WFC in the field of sports and fitness. She has won many gold medals in kettlebell competition and won the Best Female Lifter Award in 2019. Apart from this, she is currently pursuing Masters in Sports Physiology from Harvard Extension School, and she has published more research papers in international journals. Such an experienced personality is with us today to present her topic on athletic ability dictated more by genetics or environment. May I now invite Mrs. Devi Meena for her presentation. Meena, please.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really nice. And Shani, that was a very wonderful session. And yeah, even I'm actually one of the victim of this gluten intolerance and lactose intolerance. So whenever I have any issues, I'll just call Shiny. Can I eat this food? Can I include? So that was a really, really wonderful session, Shiny. And thank you so much for having me, ma'am, here. And it's really a great honor and privilege to present my topic. So over to my topic. So the topic I've chosen today is this athletic ability dictated by the genetics or by obsessive training. Actually, this debate has been going for like quite a long time, and I thought, okay, why don't I take this particular topic, because I myself keep confusing that I can train myself. I can even train like 4 to 6 hours a day. Like as Shiny Ma'am was talking about this excessive training. Even I have ended up like training more and having some gut issues. But anyways, when my food and nutrition part is being adjusted, I can train even for like 4 hours or 6 hours. So I used to think when I won all these medals and competition, because all I was like when I was training, I only go for this professional category. And recently I set a record in India, which was like 193 repetitions of snatch in professional category, which was actually unbroken for the past 2.5 years. And IKS of Indian Kettlebell Sports Federation, they have announced this as a benchmark for the women professional category. So I used to think it's nothing to do with the genetics. It's going to be like completely only the obsessive training, and of course the nutrition is also very important of it. But later, when my coach, he wanted me to push for the world championship. Like last year, I got an entry to the world championship, but I was not able to train myself. After like 6 months of non-stop training, I don't know, I mean, it was not a point of overtraining. It was not even to the point of like overreaching. As I mean, let me just explain what is overreaching. Overreaching is a point where we set, we will actually decide a point in periodization table. We will forcefully push I mean, we will forcefully push the athletes to a point where they're like about to burn out, but it is not a burnout state. It's actually a planned one. So I was not even going to a point of overreaching, and overtraining was not all in my arena. But I was actually losing out on training. I was not able to, even after getting my, even I had sponsors, I had everything, but I refused to go. Around I think around like March month, when I was training with my kettlebell, when I was training, I couldn't push myself. I could do just like that, but I was not able to do more than like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I changed, I jumped from one nutritionist to another nutritionist, thinking that probably my food was not good or my rest was not good, but everything was baka, everything was in place. But then later, after I started doing my studies on this genetic, I mean, all this paper, I was able to understand I have a proper genetic mutation in my body. My body is designed in such a way that I can do any kind of anaerobic endurance for a period of time. Anaerobic endurance is a phase where you will train. It is something like 400 to 800 meter run. I mean, it will go to a span of like 4 meter, I mean, to 4 minutes to 10. I mean, anything less than 10 minutes I'll be like able to do, only for a period of maybe say around like 6 months. If you ask me to do like year long, I will not be able to do, because many of my coaches, many of my mentors who are like world kettlebell champion in Russia as well in India, their only way of training is only to in the endurance. I don't do in endurance at all. I mean, I do in my endurance training, but my plus my arena is only my strength and my power. Like you asked me to train in the strength phase. Strength phase is basically, we say one RM. One RM is one repetition maximum, the amount of weight that I can lift. Like anyone can lift for like one repetition. If I could do a deadlift of 130 kilos, I will be training only always 90, 95 a weekly, twice or thrice, and I'm okay to lift even like heavily 3 to 4 times without any injury. So this is how I used to do.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Your voice is too low, ma'am. It is not audible for the participants. Can you please increase your voice?
Increase the.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Is it okay now? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Good.
Yeah. Okay, right? Yeah. Yeah. So later, when I was actually when I understood my pattern after getting into these studies, I understood that my body is designed in such a way I can only do this anaerobic endurance or any kind of endurance activity for 6 months. That is when I genetics also play important role. But I did not go for blood test or whatever it is. But based on the way how I train, my training is actually I could do only for this kind of like endurance good. And when it comes to like oxidative metabolism, where we see marathoners or LSD we say, or the long slow distance, I am actually not good at that. I mean, I can do, but I'm not very great at that. So all these things prove that my body is composed of more of fast twitch fibers, say like 70% of fast twitch fibers, which is like high intensity explosive, and 30 to 40% of slow twitch fibers, where I was able to do the anaerobic endurance. So when why I started with this is that I just wanted to give a background of like how I see myself, so that you will be able to understand this even more better. So when this is actually coming to training, I have seen, I've always wondered how come this Jamaican sprinter, our Jamaicans are really like born for to be a sprinters, and Kenyans marathoners. Yeah, so is that sprinting means is going to be Jamaican like Jesse Owens or Usain Bolt, or Kenyans, Kenyans are the only people who are actually into the marathoners.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah,
Ma'am, could you please switch off the fan? Your voice is not audible.
really. Just a
Yeah.
minute. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. You
Clear?
can go ahead, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. So then also when I train my team, I watched like if I train like 15 people, I watched like five or six people. I mean, everyone will have the same protocol, all everything being good. I see there's a like lot of difference between like each trainers. Even when you, I mean, each athletes. Even when you actually look at any of these runners, you will see when you train this for the marathon people, people will be following the same protocol, the same stride after stride. Everything will be same, but you will end up seeing like different, I mean, people having like different pace, different interval. Why is it happening? Is it because I'm not giving a proper training for player A, player B, player C, or is it they have a like different gene? So how that actually goes, we'll just look at this. Yeah. So this is we cannot, I mean, let's take this is a debate. This debate has been going for a very long time now, and there are like many sports specialists actually concluded that this will be the ideal, so we are just going to look at that only. So when you take about this biological endowments, what we call it as a biological endowments is a blessing. I mean, it's like a, okay, this particular person has a very good gene, so he or she is capable of doing that, but this person is not having a particular gene, so he or she is not capable of doing it. But can we just conclude that it's only because of this biological endowments this particular person is able to do that? Or is there any way that with the obsessive training would you be able to? Because there is a like proven research, we say that you can't definitely convert a marathoner to an I mean endurance specialist to a sprinter, or a sprinter to a marathoner, but you can actually make some kind of adjustments. You can make a 100-meter sprinter with little bit of training, or with obsessive training based on the genetic they have, to a 400 meters. Now 400 meters you can actually make him to a 100-meter, or 400 to an I mean 800 to a 400. But definitely you can't make a full marathoner for, I mean, 42 point some 195 kilometers to a 100 meters, or this one to that. So that is not actually possible. So this kind of thing is like we don't, I mean, it is far from this, we say, a dichotomy between the nature and the nurture. So when we talk about the nature, I'm talking about the hardware, I mean the biological endowments, whatever your body is made up of, I mean the genetic setup. And nurture is going to be the training environment. So when it's going to be a training environment, it will actually include the nutrition also, along with the obsessive training. Because when it comes to the nutrition, I'm not talking about, I'm not going to discuss about the nutrition here, because we need a special nutrition specialist who can actually come and talk about how there are like different type. Maybe Shiny is here, after this you can ask some questions to her also. There are like there may be, because I have not spoken to any nutritionist regarding this one. So there may be some nutritionist plan which only suits for particular gene. There may be also, because I'm not sure of it. So let's I mean ask her if there's any question. Okay, then we all know that we talk about all the stalwarts in the field, like Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps or Serena Williams or PV Sindhu, anyone. So how come are these people? Do they have any genetic mutation, or they were like a child prodigy? They were like designed to be like that, or they are like born so that they are going to dominate the respective sports? Let's see. Okay, in any kind of practice, mainly be it sports, we say 10,000 hour rule. 10,000 hour rule is basically, we say that practice makes it perfect. So when you keep on practicing for 10,000 hours, any skill, mainly a skill based one, skill based or any kind of practice, actually we say that is the route to take the athlete for an optimal performance. But there are also the sports specialists who have actually, dispelled these kind of perceptions, because sometimes we say that a fast reaction with maybe a defensive, or with a basketball player, or with a football defensive, any sports, we say that okay, this person is having a very good a skill like a fast reaction speed, or proprioception is very very good. We can't say that it's an innate skill. I was actually thinking before coming to the paper it's an innate skill, but they say, but the sports research, the scientists, they keep saying those are all not the innate skill. Maybe it is like one of the quality where they've gotten through the training. And sometimes I tell myself, I whatever happened, rain or shine or whatever happens, even during this lockdown, I find something and I have everything at home and I see to that I'm training. So I was just thinking that this voluntary training is actually a willingness to training, is actually a practice. But researchers have told that willing to train or voluntary training is again not going to be like a practice one. That might also be a genetic component. So there is actually some changes in the basic itself. I mean the basics itself. And when it comes to the 10,000 hour rule, again, I can't say that. I mean, the people are saying that we can't say that an athlete's performance is actually only based on the 10,000 hour rule, because you take a player A. A player A might be taking 10,000 hours to actually practice a skill, to master a skill. But you take player B. Player B may be taking only 3,000 hours. You take player C. Player C might be taking 25,000 hours. Very simple. Just you look at the supermarket. If you see like two people at different counter, you may both having maybe like 5 to 6 years of experience. You may see that one guy at the counter will be like able to finish off 10 to 15 customers in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. The second one will be like taking 10 minutes to even attend 10 customers. So which means that number of hours of practice is actually not going to play an important role if that particular person is not having that quality of making ends fast or speed. So again, now the genetics play an important role. So it is again a non-stop debate. Is that the genetics or is that the obsessive training? So where should I actually start working for an athlete? If someone is coming to me as a child prodigy, like these exploration, I mean, these are this exploring stuffs, they wanted to see whether this black athletes are the one who are actually dominating in these kind of sports. Or and there are also like genetic reasons where we separate like male and female. I will just talk about that bit later. And young athletes, when I was in Singapore, I used to work for HPB, Health Promotion Board. And they used to tie up us with the general hospital, Chanki General Hospital. So we have a test for the young athletes. I was also working with this government place where they would actually start training, rigorous training for all the boys mainly, who should be like going for the government for the military purpose. So during that time, if the parents see that the particular child is having some kind of skill, he or she's like able to sprint faster, or get into a marathon, or get into a weightlifting, they would bring them to the health promotion board, and via to that, we'll go to the Chanki hospital and do a muscle biopsy to actually see what composition. If the muscle biopsy will actually not tell that, because all of us, we have all the different muscles. We have type 1, we have fast twitch and its classifications, and we have slow twitch. Slow twitch is actually only one, but with the fast twitch we have different classifications. I mean, if I want to sprint for like 100 meters also, my muscle will support. Or if I have to run for 400 meter also, my muscle will support. If I have to go for 800 also, it will support. It actually depends upon where you wanted to excel. So those kind of testing are also done. With this kind of testing, actually the narrowing down is done very beautifully there, where we will give a report of, yeah, your son is having so and so, 70% of so and so muscle, and 30% of so and so muscle. So based on this, based on the child's interest, that the parents, if they are like good enough, they can find a, obviously this everything will go with the nutritionist package. It's a very very must in Singapore. And with the nutritionist package, she will come to me as a strength and conditioning coach, and that's how the training actually starts. So when we look into that, this 10,000 hour rule, sometime I will feel it doesn't play any role at all. It's just there. 10,000 hour rule is just there. There are also some people, when we compare when we compare, like some people, I would talk about that. We made a comparison for one research with the two high jumpers, Thomas and Hom. Thomas is supposed, I mean, was a child prodigy, and then he was actually trained. He's a world class jumper, high jumper. He has been training for like many years since from his very young age. But Hom is actually started only like a couple of years back, and now both they both are now on this same platform. So we will just look at it in the next slide. So when all this testing came, sports scientists thought, let us get into the sequencing of human genome. I mean, the testing. So what they started doing is that they started doing a single gene test to see whether that is going to affect, I mean, influence athleticism. But obviously, single gene is not going to give you any kind of like report. I mean, it's not, it is not going to give us the full evidence. So then again, they want to see the interplay of the biological endowments and training, how it's going to affect. It's always a tug of war between the nature and the nurture. So nature, as I said, is your hereditary, is your hardware inside, and your nurture is actually the platform. I mean, the food you eat, the environment, exposure, and supplements, everything comes under this need nurture actually. Okay, so when it comes to this thing, yeah, here I want to talk about this. So I mean, these people, I was not able to get the picture of Thomas and Holmes, so this I've taken a random picture. So how they compared this these people, this Thomas and Hom. As I told, Thomas was I mean, Thomas is 6 foot and Hom is actually a moderate height guy. They found that both these people are having a different Achilles tendon. Achilles tendon is very important for any kind of like explosive. I mean, it's important for everything, but it's very important for any kind of explosive activity. So they found this Thomas Achilles tendon is actually long. When it's long enough, we say it is able to save more of like elast. I mean, it is able to store most of this elastic energy inside. Similarly, this Holmes Achilles tendon was of a normal size, but it was very stiff. Of course, we can make Achilles tendon stiffer, but basically it is stiff. It actually depends. It is one of the genetic component, and the length of the Achilles tendon is also a genetic component. We have a term actually called as a stretch shortening cycle. I'm so sure all the physical trainers here and coaches must be like knowing what is that. Stretch shortening cycle is basically when you get into any movement, the muscle will go into a stretching. The moment the muscle go into a stretching, the tendons actually tries to store more amount of elastic energy. And when the body is moving from an eccentric phase to a concentric phase, the elastic energy is actually revealed. I mean, it's actually exposed. Very simple in layman language, how you say is that when you're trying to jump, you will not jump from a standing position. What you do is sit. I mean, you just give a counter movement jump. The moment you give a counter movement jump, the muscles are going into a stretching phase where where the coils are actually coiling more of like elastic energy, and immediately you have to execute the jump. Imagine a squat jump. You go down, immediately you have to jump up. If you stop there when you're going down, the energy that is stored at the tendons is actually dissipated as heat. That's what we call it as a zero amortization phase. Go in a counter movement phase and then zero amortization phase and then jump up. And for this action, Achilles tendon actually plays a very important role. And we say that some people vertical jump is very good. I know obsessive training plays a very important role, but Achilles tendon actually takes a very important role in executing this. So they were like trying to conclude, is that because of this Achilles tendon, Thomas and Horn were able to actually perform like really good in high jumpers. Then later again, after a few years, it was done in the University of Tokyo. They found that Achilles, I mean, this Thomas has been training since his young age, but Horn just started like a couple of years back. How is it both were able to come in the same platform? So is that the obsessive training, or is that the the genetics is playing a role? They were not able to come to a conclusion. But one thing what was actually clear with them is Achilles tendon is only one piece of a puzzle. So with that, we are not able to fix the complete puzzle. Even with the hyper specialization of sport, people are able to come to world class athletes. I mean, I'm a example of that because I started. I mean, I'm a master of for this kettlebell for this Asian company, but I train like many people to become a kettlebell coach. But I have never got into the kettlebell lifting. I mean, I've never got into the kettlebell international championship because that takes like a lot of time. Because of studies, I was not able to devote. But I wanted to actually get into it. And 2 years back, I got into a Russian guy. And then I told him that I wanted to go for the international championship. The starting itself is I want to go for the international. I don't want to try any of the local one. And that was actually very tough. I had only like 5 weeks. He said I would be able to do. And with the obsessive training, I would say, and also with the very good nutrition, I was able to. There were like 6 Asian countries. I mean, from Singapore, China, India, and I was the only one from India. I made a record, and that has been a record. But as I told, with this hyper specialization of sport like a kettlebell, see, when it comes to anaerobic endurance, I will be switching my pathway between aerobic, anaerobic, and fast glycolytic. I'll not be in one pathway. If it's going to be one pathway, okay, I can say I have a neural fatigue, so I'm fatiguing out. I'm not going to train, but I keep on switching between these. The only thing, I will not go to the phosphagen, which is like less than 10 seconds, I would say, which I my areas of interest is that I would not be training in that, but I would be switching between these three pathways. But after a point of time, what happened? I was not able to continue when I got selected for this Spain, for this kettlebell World Cup championship. I was not able to train. My coach was actually very upset with me. He said, "No, I mean, I know you're not giving up, but I don't know why you don't want to come." I said, "See, coach, I'm not able to. When I go to the gym, when I lift, I felt very lifeless. Even after good food and everything, I was in fact gaining weight because my nutritionist gave me good 2,200 calories, thinking that I'll be like burning more, but I was gaining weight because I was not having interest. So then I thought maybe my gene mutation is set in a way where I can have anaerobic endurance only for a season of not more than like 6 months. And the only rule is a tremendous natural range, how it actually happens. And next one, the hardware is useless without software. Of course, hardware is your gene, your genetic make. It is not going to give you any optimal. I mean, it's not of any use if you don't have a very good platform, if there is no very good training, if there is no very good nutritionist. Vice versa is also the same. So genetics is of no use when there is no proper training that suits the gene as well. Obsessive training alone does not brings about any magic. So this is where we need to understand genetics is of no use where there is no proper training. So now slowly the sports scientists are showing us the debate is either it's, I mean, whether it's your genetics or your obsessive training is giving the optimal performance. Of course, we all know it's going to be both, but a debate has to be either this side or that side. It can't be both. But now slowly the geneticists and exercise physiologists and biologists, they came into conclusion. I mean, they are actually trying to tell us that your training platform is going to be the same. If you say that your training platform is not suiting you, it is not the training program's fault. I mean, I have the bestest of the training protocol from the world kettlebell champion from Russia, but I was not able to do that. Means I should not be blaming the training protocol. This is the bestest one, but my body was not actually adapting to it. So immediately what I did from him, I thought, let me get into a CrossFit, and then I started training for the CrossFit. Within 3 months, I found like my body changed and everything, and I found myself very happy. Which means I was only able to train this anaerobic endurance for 6 months. After that, my mind and my muscles were like begging to have a power kind of thing, not a hypertrophy one, but it wanted to be trained only in the strength protocol. So that is the one uh, the sports scientists are also like actually telling into it. And also we need to take into consideration this variance. Like when you train athletes, you see there's a variance, like a athlete A must be like finishing it off, maybe we'll say like a kilometer in like 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and athlete B may be finishing it off in 5.5 minutes. So what is happening, there is a small variance is there is a difference. I'm giving a same protocol, same training protocol to everyone, I mean to all my athletes, because they are coming to me for one particular cause and one particular goal. So when I put in a periodization phase, the first off season where it's going to be the preparatory phase after all the fat loss or whatever it has happened, once I start training towards a competition, the protocol is going to be the similar, it's going to be the same. But why is that between the two athletes I see a mild variation? Then I will go to my nutritionist, I will ask, see if this person is performing good and that person is not performing good. I see a little bit of, but it's going to be a team spirit, why don't you do something? So my nutritionist, he or she, does some fixation and everything. Even after that everything happened, practice and everything happened, still there is a variance. So I have my 10,000 hours practice. I have, I mean, I can't go and check what genes they are, but obviously when they come into a marathon or a kettlebell or a sprinting or a powerlifting or whatever it is, they are falling into a same kind of liking. So I take for granted that they have like a similar kind of gene, so that they are actually fitting into this particular sport or that same sport, everything being good. But why is that I'm not able to produce the same magic that I produced for player A and I'm not able to produce for player B? Since there is a variance between each athlete inside a team, as a team, the team is not able to perform optimal because the team contribution is very important. That is when they said talent transfer. Talent transfer, whatever you see inside has to be like transferred. The number of hours of practice you invest, or the food you eat, or whatever you do, the hardware is always going to be useless without the software. So what do you mean by that? My training protocol, whatever I give, that should be suiting that person. So the moment I start understanding, okay, I understand this particular person's gene make is like that, like me, where that person is not able to perform this kind of routine. So within my periodization table, be it in any phase, be it's going to be a pre-competition phase, or it's going to be a post-competition, or it's going to be before that, or whatever it is, I should see to that like 1 or 2 weeks, depending upon the days I have in the periodization, I should tweak their training plan, like how the nutritionists actually tweak their nutrition plan for different players. It is very important. I should tweak their training protocol. I should not, I mean, nobody does that, but this is going to be like a super specialization, or it's going to be like a fine tuning, because when it goes to be like a just a few weeks before the competition, it's not a good idea to tweak the program, because I don't want to disturb them. But if I need to see the entire team's result, there should not be even a point, not one variance between the athletes, which I have to understand that this particular athlete gene is not actually helping this program. My program is good, but the gene is actually not functioning. So what should I do? Everyone is designed differently. The genotype is different. So based on their genotypes and based on whatever the background, I mean this genetic make they come, there is no testing here. It's actually a pure understanding with years of experience. I have to make sure that I'm going to adjust the training protocol. And when it comes to the male and female, it's actually very different training, because male, as such, you all know, male have the testosterone hormone, which is a blessed hormone. I mean, they can lift up heavily, and there is no need of any resting. I mean, they do need the rest, but there is no need of any actually supporting extra support, because the testosterone acid supports them. But when it comes to female, I would not actually put on the estrogen hormone, but with the menstrual cycle, the first 14 days of follicular phase definitely is a very good phase, where I can push them to the core, because the body withstands everything. Ovulatory phase is again a breeze phase, where the person will be able to take any amount of stress. But the luteal phase, first the luteal phase we divide into like two phases. The first phase of luteal phase is actually very good, but the last phase of luteal phase is actually very bad. And mainly when you take athlete, when compared to a normal, I mean layman female and an athlete female, you will see the bloating levels are like way too high for this female athlete. I have seen a lots and lots, even including myself. Maybe I used to think that all these hours of practice are not very restricted calorie, but anyway they'll be on a calorie deficit of 200 or 300 calories every day. I mean when they are in the off season, mainly if there is any kind of like weight to be lost. Otherwise, even in a calorie maintenance, because of the amount of calorie they burn, if it is not matched also, or because of like like rigorous training, whatever it is, that last week of luteal phase is a phase the body actually goes into disaster. So I cannot expect any kind of outcome from them. And the bloating also happened because the beta cell in the body is not working, burn is not working, alpha cell shoots up very high, where they starts to store more water. Everything happens. So I have to see to that the mostly female athletes are productive only for the first 20 or 25 days. The last 5 days is not going to be productive, whereas it is not the case with the male athlete are like 24/7. I can keep on training. I mean, because of the testosterone hormone, so that also plays a major role. I mean, when it comes to the genetic, I have to take that also into consideration. And second, the whether it's male or female, there is like even more difference. We say actually the affinity to the trainability. Some people have actually, okay, if you are coming to me for a kind of like aerobic metabolism to be shored up, or you wanted only for the power, you wanted only for the strength, sometimes some people will not respond for any kind of activities. I mean, they will not respond for any kind of their goal is actually not met. They will come to me for, I wanted to finish off, like recently also I had one guy who's like, I'm training for 10 months, being everything falling in place, but it's not happening, so we are not going to leave that also. So he wanted to actually finish off 10 kilometers in less than 1 hour. He's actually completing in 61 minutes, 62 minutes. It's just a matter of only 1 or 2 minutes, but the 1 or 2 minutes is actually taking a heavy toll. When you look at the training protocol, it's more or less the same, because everyone who has completed in less than 10 at less than 1 hour will more or less will follow the same protocol based on his genes and based on whatever the everything we are like tweaking it. But now being the lockdown period, it's again, I think, I don't know how his timing has actually happened. So that is also a thing. But anyway, we understand that any kind of training or any kind of sport will do its job in reducing the body fat and helping managing the lipid levels or have this hypertension and all these things. And again, when it comes to genes, here in India, actually, I have noticed mainly with ethnicities, you say, like, when it's going to be Kenyans, we are not actually, I mean, I didn't train any of those people, but this is actually from the book. But I would like to tell, like, more than here, I mean, here, Chennai or Karnataka, those people, I've always seen that down south girls or down south boys are more stronger. I don't know why they're more stronger. I mean, when I trained this Madurai, Trichy, recently I was in Tutukurin. I was so amazed. They were all like not very big people, but moderate built. Maybe the food they eat or the less stress they have. I didn't get into that kind of research, but just is like flashing in mind. Their strength is like really amazing. And also, where I train a group of people, bunch of people in Guwahati, and their training, their think their VO2 max or their EPOC level or their adaptability is like really good. That I understand is because of the altitude. So it is actually inbuilt in their body. Their stroke volume, everything is good. Their resting heart rate is like really very less, and also they eat like very clean food. So all these things also add to the environment. I mean, to the nurture. So when their genes is actually like really good, the protocol is very easy. The training protocol is very easy for them, because all this nurture is being very good. We will be able to produce like really good athletes. And one more thing, all must have known this: no one size fits all. Like as I told, if I have a training protocol for kettlebell or for CrossFit or powerlifting or whatever it is, I can't just throw this paper and tell that this is a periodization table. Please do this, because each and every athlete needs a different kind of program. It is a very must. I mean, the same program cannot be followed for everyone, though they be in the same sport, though they be in the same place, or they play for them in age group or whatever it is. If you see, there is a variance in their timing. If you see, there is a difference in their timing, or they are not able to perform. You, I mean, when I understand, they can do it much better. When they are not able to perform, it is their genetics is not helping them to perform, which means that particular, as I told, as we discussed previously, either they're not responding to the training, or maybe because of this XY chromosome is actually making something. And if you get into very deep, we actually call as myostatin. Also, myostatin is actually we say myostatin mutation, which means it will say no to the growth of the muscle. That is a different story. But anyways, that is also a subtle factor, which might, because we are not getting into any of the blood work also here. So we understand that no size fits for fits. I mean, you can't take like one size fits for all, right? So you can't take like one protocol, one training protocol for everyone. You need to tweak, understand their body type, and based on whatever variance you have to understand, and give a proper training program for them, so that they're able to perform like really good. So I was talking about this rare gene, EPOR or myostatin, that alone can have significant impact on athleticism. This myostatin is actually a very big research paper, which I'm working next. Yeah. There are also, like as I told you, we have this non-responders who saw no improvements in aerobic fitness even after doing like a lot of training and everything is being done. But perhaps their blood pressure dropped, their cholesterol levels improved. Everyone actually gets benefited from the exercise in some way or the other. But their goal, for the goal to be achieved, we need to take all this into consideration. So what is the result finally we see? We have this person, James Tanner. He's actually a growth expert and also world class hurdler. He says that everyone has a different genotype. There is no great about software that is the the program that we do if there is no supporting hardware the nature. Sometimes software may not run on a particular hardware, which is very true. It may not run. I was not responding to the kettlebell protocol after like 6 months. Why? Hardware cannot be changed. You cannot change whatever is going into the body. Instead, rework on the software system that runs on the hardware for the optimal performance. Therefore, for optimal development, everyone should have a different environment. So this is the conclusion, and happy training. And thank you so much for having me here. If you have any questions, you can shoot. And thank you so much, Grace ma'am, for having me here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a great honor for say that it was a fantastic explanation about your topic,
Thank you,
and there
ma'am.
are so many questions have come in, and am I audible now?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, what is CrossFit? They are asking. Somebody is asking about what is CrossFit.
Okay. CrossFit is actually a functional fitness from the US. And this is CrossFit. We are in India, we are around like I think 200 to 250 people. And in Chennai, we are around like 13 to 14. So if anyone wants to get certified from CrossFit, they have to go to crossfit.com and see where the training happens. It only happens, I mean, they send their masters from US, and we have only one CrossFit box in Chennai as of the legal CrossFit box in Chennai, as opened by a person called Saravanan. It's in OMR. It was like opened like a year back. So it happens only in the CrossFit box places. So it's a 2 days seminar. Once they register, they would send you the course material where you have to sit and study. And exam passing is not tough, but it's doable.
Yeah, thank you. Our India is having a different environment. Okay, everyone knows about it, and somebody has asked the question:
Mm.
which environment suits for sprinters, middle distance runners, and long distance runners, and so forth?
Environment in the sense, what are they asking?
Yeah, the environment in the sense they are asking about the climatic condition. I think so.
Climatic condition in India, I don't think so. It's a problem as such. We everywhere it's going to be the same. I mean, we are not having a year full of a season of like rainfall or whatever it is. That
Uh,
shouldn't be a problem, I think, with the
uh,
environment,
but
because I have
uh,
seen I have seen like different places, even here in YMCA in Chennai, or in down south or in north also. I've seen people taking this in the ground. But
yeah,
anyway, when it comes to like sprinting 100 meters or 400 meters or 800 meters, it is only done by the people who are actually planning to go for it. I've never seen like grown up adults doing that. Like, like school children or college people or physical trainers, they do that. It's
no,
actually done only in the ground. Yes, ma'am.
excuse me. Usually we say that in Chennai it is a humid place where we cannot increase the VO2 max. So
Hmm.
how do we train the long distance runner in this condition?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, this VO2 max is actually nothing to do with the climate. I mean, in the sense, I understand it's hot and everything, where this kind of this hot everything comes under this dehydration part. When the dehydration part is taken care, because even when I train, I never train in an AC environment, because all the sports I go, it's not done in an AC place. But there is one other thing also which is proven. Like last year, we had one competition in Thailand. I had sent four of my boys there. One boy where I thought he would actually go and win gold, he didn't even take bronze. I was actually very disappointed. Then later he came and told me, "Ma'am, he's actually a very good player." He told me that, "Ma'am, I was not able to go and perform because it's a CrossFit box where there's no AC. He has been only training in his AC hall, I mean, in his gym. The moment he went there, he was not able to actually work out there." So this is nothing related to your VO2. See, VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen that you can intake, that your lungs can take. So when the lungs get expanded, he's able to actually go on. And when you train itself, we say something called as VT1, ventilated threshold one. So I can walk and talk. If I'm able to do that after a point of time, I can even jog and walk. After a point of time, I can even run comfortably and talk. So what is happening? Slowly, I'm actually increasing my bar. So basically, for a person who is less fit, VO2 max is very high. For a person like me, it is very difficult to raise the VO2 max because it's already very high. So the climatic condition or the dehydration does not actually play a role in VO2 max. VO2 max is completely with the training. So if you feel that heat is actually killing, or the clothing is actually, then that has to be like taken care of. But the training protocol will be designed for the oxygen level.
Okay, thank you. And have you done any study with Asian athletes? And somebody is asking a question:
Mm.
what type of genes that Indian athletes are predominant with?
Predominantly, Indian athletes have mostly lot of slow twitch fibers. Like why am I saying is that because we have not produced like sprinters, to be very honest. That's why we say when it comes to sprinters, we are only thinking of Jamaican people. But we are very good with cricket. Basically, I say we don't have to take the national players for cricket. Just you get onto the road, we see our children playing cricket, but we don't see our children going for a 100-meter sprint. We don't even see our children no, run as if the dog chases them. So based on that, it's a very basic thing. I say that we have a lot of people with slow twitch fibers. As well, we have fast twitch also, but it's completely not phosphagen. It is full of glycolytic.
Okay. Um, can you say that somebody has got ligament injury,
Mm.
and maybe we do not know the percentage of injury, but without any surgery, whether they can continue to do the exercise?
Okay, when you don't know what is the grade of the ligament injury, like there is a grade of 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is not advisable to actually get into training. They need to take advice from a proper physiotherapist, because I would not just like that advice.
Excellent. What is stretch shortening cycle? Somebody has asked her.
Okay, stretch shortening cycle means when you're actually doing some exercise, you wanted the energy to be like expelled out, right? In when you work out, you have three type of contractions. Everyone must be knowing here. Concentric phase. Shortening cycle is called concentric, and extending cycle is called eccentric phase. So imagine a squat. You're doing a squat. So from a standing position, you're going down. That phase is the one where your muscles are actually getting enlarged, I mean stretched. So when you go down, what is happening? You are actually either taking your own body weight or you're taking some external weight. The moment your muscles are actually able to hold your own body weight or external weight, it is going down, it is getting stretched. Because of that force, the tendons that is attached to the tendon point actually starts storing some kind of elastic energy. That energy, it is actually coming up. I mean, you are able to perform more when you are actually giving a forceful eccentric contraction, meaning when you go down to a squat, you should stand up immediately. That's why we say in any kind of movement we say 201. 2 means from a standing position take 1 2, that is your, you have come to the seated position, I mean a chair position where you squat. From here we say 0. This is the amortization phase. I don't want you to stay here. If you stay here for a longer time, the energy is dissipated here. You will not be able to come up very quickly. That's why we say 2 phase. 1 to go down, stay 0 here and come up quickly. So that is called as a stretch shortening cycle.
Okay, thank you. And whether severe weight training affects the affects the height of the person. Now, people are having an idea that
Mm.
when we have pull-ups, we will
Yeah.
grow high, and when we do weight training exercises, we go shorter, like that. No,
Yeah.
somebody has asked. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to the height, we will talk about adolescent children, because after a point of time for girls they say 13 to 15, because of the estrogen, the puberty, the estrogen hormones basically ossifies the bone. For the testosterone, it doesn't happen. So people, when I train my young adults, I mean young athletes, my parents, they used to ask me, you're asking them to do all these things, would that not stun their bone growth? But there is no proof that weight training will actually stunt the growth. When do you think a bone actually extends its size? We say something called as ossification. So the bone actually has some kind of soft plates or soft tissues, I mean soft layer outside the bone. And when you start exercising, all the soft areas will actually go into a microscopic tears. We call it as an osteoblast. After that, for repairing phase, because the children will have a phase. I mean, they have a lot of growth hormone in the body. The growth hormone basically gets secreted. For the growth hormone to get secreted, you have to put a stimulus. The stimulus is going to be a weight training or a own body weight training. What happens with that growth hormone? The ossification, I mean, the osteoblast actually recovers, ossification happens, the bone actually grows. There are some cases where parents come and argue with me, telling that you are making my child do this or do that. It is definitely going to happen. And I ask them, see, those days we used to jump across a wall. I will, from when I go to my granny's place, I will not be in one, we will be like jumping. So there are children my age, we have fell down, we have broken the bone, but then also the growth has not stunted. So there is nothing like that, and the ossification does not happen. And we say there is a epiphyseal plate in the bone. That epiphyseal plate, if at all it cracks or some damage to the plate, then the growth will get stunted. But it is proven epiphyseal plate will be broken only if you're going to hit it with the iron rod, which we are not going to
Okay.
do.
Excellent. That was our strong bone in body.
Yeah.
Okay. Can gene mutation through genetic engineering can improve performance?
Uh, Definitely, that is the research is going, but I don't know how far people are going to invest money, because in India, as you must be knowing, all this ethical committee and all, I don't think so they will do it. But gene mutation, yes,
Yeah.
at least we can know that, okay, my child, I have an interest in this, so okay, my child, I'm basically an instrumentalist. I play veena for past 25 years, but I have like 10 to 12 veenas at home because I teach also. But both my children, they don't even bother to look at it, but both of them are very interested in sport. So if there is any kind of this gene mutation, probably even I will take them and see what is going inside their body. And right from this age itself, instead of putting them in this kind of school, I will put them either in a music school or in a sports school. So that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, excellent.
Happens.
Can you differentiate between knee dominant and kettlebell, whether it is a knee dominant or hip dominant swing?
It is a hip dominant swing. Never, none of the exercises are knee dominant. The moment they say knee dominant, bones are only for extension and for flexion. We use all the joints only for flexion and extension. So hip, the moment you say hip, it's going to be the complete muscle, your gluteal muscle, your hip muscle. So it's a hip dominant one.
Yeah. Do elite power sports athletes have a genetic advantage?
They may be without as such. That's what I said. When this comes, without any kind of like gene inside, that fire will not come. It's basically a fire, right? I want to train this, I want to do this. That's why even when I started my slide, I said I want to train whatever happens. But I was thinking all this while, maybe the practicing, hours of practicing has made me as a discipline that I have to go and do it. Maybe that is also one of my genetic component. Definitely, without that, it will not start.
Yeah. This may be a last question for you, Devi.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. You were talking about muscle biopsy and Achilles tendon stiff size and etc.
Mm-hmm.
So whether this part of experiments or scientific labs we do not have in India,
Mm.
and how to know about what kind of muscle fiber one has and which kind of sport he has to put in, and how we can find out the Achilles tendon stiff and size and so on and so forth.
Okay, so mainly for Achilles tendon stiffness is actually one example for the high jumpers. The moment you see anyone doing a very high powerful sport, like shot put or this high jumping, or any kind of sport that involves less than 10 seconds. See, less than 10 seconds is done by Usain Bolt for the sprinter. So we can say he is actually having a very good Achilles tendon. Or you take quadricep muscle. Some will have a very good vastus lateralis, very good quadricep muscle, very good sartorius. The moment you see that, the moment you see that, you can tell that this person is actually very good for bodybuilding. The moment you say he's very good for bodybuilding, he's actually only a guy who can do only hypertrophy component. You see someone who's like very big. I will not say fat, but he will be like big, which means the body has both fat uh, and muscle. Intramuscular fat or visceral fat, but he will not be looking shabby like a layman, but he will be looking big. So the moment you see that he is a strong guy, you can tell that this guy is actually very good for powerlifting. Never a powerlifting guy can go for a marathon. If you see the elite sprinters or anyone who is finishing, actually there is a record also. Kenyans finish their full marathon in 2 hours of training. In 2 hours. that is their genes as well as obsessive training. So you look at them, their body is completely total physic, which means you can actually remove the skin. Even in you would have I mean the physical trainers would have done this fat analysis, where when you are able to remove the skin, there is no visceral fat. So we say that these people are like, I will not say zero fat, but their fat percentage is actually very less. So when you look at that, we can say that okay, this particular person is only for the physique building. This can be actually seen from a very young age. Some children can actually play for 90 minutes without getting tired. Then I would say okay, this so and so child is actually very good for any kind of endurance. But if you see that that child is only able to play for 90 minutes in a moderate sport, he or she can only be a so-called marathon or so-called endurance. But if you see the same child playing 90 minutes in a proper football, in a proper basketball, where it includes phosphagen system, it includes anaerobic metabolism, it takes all the fast glycolytic, oxidative, then you can tell he's a superstar.
Yeah, yeah. 1 second. No, sorry to interrupt.
That's
And
okay, ma'am.
in India, the sport is taken as 2% only. Nobody has understood what is sport even. Right?
Mm.
Only the poor children are taking part in the sport.
Mm.
So how do they know about the scientific thing which are involved in biopsy and the gene and other things? And how can we say as a coaches or trainers, and they are unable to find out whether they have fast twitch or slow twitch muscle fiber? And what about your idea, especially in
Okay.
India? Yeah.
Okay. So for this, I would request all the sports coaches as well. We must be having many physical trainers here. Whenever you get time, it is maybe as a charity. You can go to the schools or to the colleges where you see the less privileged children, because mainly you see the less privileged children because the survival of the fittest. Their endurance is like really good because their environment is that. So their VO2 max is very good, their epoch level will be like very high. So it is actually, we have to take the initiative. We can't wait for the government to take initiative for everything. From my side, what I can do, so I have associated myself to Dr. Janaki, MJ Janaki College. The dean, the director of the college is my classmate. So I would go there. That's what last year we came. I mean, a couple of years back we came to your university, ma'am. I think you remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So I take these girls with YMCA or anywhere, for Coco or any kind of sport, whatever they are. I actually work with the physical director there, and I just educate them. That's it. So that is the only thing we can do as of now.
Yeah. So the last question, okay.
Yes.
You were telling about the training protocol, individual training protocol.
Yes.
Games like group games like football, hockey, and they have
Mhm.
a forward, backward, and middle. All players' positions are different. And how
Yes.
do they? How do we coach for them?
Yeah.
You say about the training must be individualistic.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm.
So what is happening? The moment you take a team, you will start writing a periodization table, and based on whatever position they are, you will know. Okay, this person needs a hypertrophy program. This person needs a power program. So the moment you understand, there itself the program actually changes. A defensive person definitely will require only a hypertrophy, whereas a basketball, he will actually require a lot of vertical jump. So the program changes there itself. So based on the position, program changes.
Okay, thank you so much. And you have done a wonderful presentation today, Devi.
Thank
And
you,
we
ma'am.
were very fortunate to have you. And I hope that the viewers, especially the trainers, coaches, and the international athletes and athletes, those who are viewing in this presentation, would have enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much. And all the
Thank,
questions were answered nicely and elaborately. And we'll hope meet you soon. Thank you so much.
thank you so
Thank
much
you
for the
very much.
opportunity, ma'am. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, ma'am.
much. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And kindly accept the um,
Thank you.
certificate which is being given by the university. On behalf of the university and the Vice Chancellor, we are issuing this certificates.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
please.
having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. The next is on the first day, Madam Vice Chancellor has inaugurated our national live webinar, and she was on the screen watching all the presentation for all 3 days. And for the final day also, she is here with us. And I have requested her to speak again during the last day, and she readily accepted due to some technical problem or error in the beginning day, and we were unable to hear any of the words, and so that I was requesting her to speak today, and she readily accepted to present few slides regarding the motivation, and thereby she will continue to speak for a while as an end note. May I now invite Madam Vice Chancellor on behalf of everyone present here for her presentation. Thank you, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Grace. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, you are
dear viewers, all of you. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Grace. I should first of all congratulate you and thank you for all the efforts you have taken. I congratulate Dr. Grace and her team, Dr. Uma, Dr. Manoj, and everybody who has really worked very hard for this program. I'm extremely happy over the program. I think all the programs were really beneficial to you. I have at the other end, I think my partner, Dr. Uma, will operate the slides for me. When I was asked to give an end note, I thought I will make a very general presentation instead of any specific topic as such, because I was not able to talk to you on the inaugural day because of some issues. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Uma. So this is going to be a motivational speech, a sort of a presentation, how to become an achiever. I know that you're all achievers, you're achieving, and I want you to be much more greater achiever, as I could see all of them in the screen are youngsters. With all my 44 or 45 years of experience, I thought I will give when you go to the next slide, you could see that you need to make a footprint in your life by establishing or by exhibiting your knowledge, showing your your skill and the ability. As life goes on, you need to make an impression in your life, make a mark in your life that will stand forever. So everybody has a unique talent, unique skill that will be exhibited in your life ahead. So I want you to encourage you to take, this will not come just like that. You need to work, you have to take lots of extra effort. You need to go an extra mile. You need to take a bigger stride to make an impression or make a footprint. So for that, I think what you need to go ahead is forge ahead. Could be the next slide. Look at the fish, and yeah, like the one at the fish at the tank, it's jumping, trying to go higher and higher. So I want you to go higher. Don't bother about what is around, because sometimes people will discourage you and you will not be motivated. So look high and jump ahead so that you'll be able to reach your goal. And I want, for this, you need to push yourself. It's a very wonderful, yeah, push yourself. Next one. Yeah, if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. And if an egg is broken by an inside force, life begins. The slide I like more. In the sense, if somebody is always assisting you from outside, you'll not have a better life, a successful one. Instead, you take lots of additional effort to push yourself outside. Like a butterfly from a cocoon, it's trying to come out. If you're trying to help the butterfly which is inside, it cannot drain its water, it cannot become lighter, it can never try to fly. So the inner force you give is much more important. So when you take a try over this, always you'll have lots of discouragement, and you'll be facing, next slide please, you'll be facing the challenges. Look at this, a small ant. Before that, it's a huge challenge which has been kept before the ant. Nothing is impossible for you. Everything will become easy once you take an effort, and anything is not easy, but everything is possible. It's a very, very ideal slide you should understand in your life. When you face the challenges, when you face the discouragement, there'll be lots of hurdles coming to you and lots of pressures in your walk of life. I want you to overcome this. Go to the next one. This is a negative expression which has been given to you. Next one, please. Yeah. This crow is facing a discouragement, but you should be really bold enough to face all the discouragement. I tell you, this is more important in my life. I have met with lots of discouragement people, and I have so many times I've gone down, but we need to be boldly facing the situations. So it is a picture which gives a very negative expression. The crow is almost it's dying, but you're not supposed to go to that. Go to the next one. So next slide, please. Here, if you're making efforts, there is a will and there is a way. Okay. So there may be umpty number of excuses we give for not doing anything, but you need to create an opportunity. Look at this guy, no resources, right? No equipment with him, but he's in the field and he's able to do good. So the last one is about this also. I like the last one, please. A bird. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, please. Dr. Uma, next one. Yeah, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid about the bird. Yeah, you have seen a bird in the previous slide. It talks about the bird never depends upon the strength of the branch, but it depends totally on the trust in you, on its own. So when it comes and sits on the branch, it will never think it will break or something like that. It is not afraid of the branch breaking, but it has its trust on himself, on his own talents, on his own ability, on his own strength. So if you keep your faith on yourself and if you're working hard, so these are all the three things I wanted to tell you. The hard work that will make you to be successful in life. So guys, I want you to pull up your socks, get ready for the post-COVID season, and I wish you all the best and success in your career. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Grace.
Thank you very much, madam, for your inspirational speech and motivational talk. And that was a wonderful presentation. Within very few slides, you could able to explain the whole lot how we need to be facing the situation currently, as well as in after future situations also. The challenges are more, and we are facing very hard situation now. And nothing is impossible, as you said, nothing is impossible. And self-motivation is very important for each and every one of us. So readily you have said all those things. It shows your involvement and encouragement in all aspects when we do things in a right way, because you are heading the institution and you are giving the ideas and directions towards to go. So it was a really wonderful motivational talk for every viewers, those who are viewing in this webinar. Thank you so much, madam, for your kind words.
Thank you, Dr. Grace, and thank you, dear viewers.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, and be in line, ma'am, for
right.
yeah, okay. And then the next comes Uma. Then yeah, next comes our clipping of TNPESU. Our university is situated at Malakotiur. It's sprawling 125 acres, established in 2005. Slow. This is an entrance, and we see the admin building. This is an administrative block and the academic building. We have 5 departments in our university: Department of Physical Education, Department of Exercise Physiology and Biomechanics, Department of Yoga, Department of Coaching and Technology, Department of Psychology Management. And we could enter into the meditational hall, where this yoga students, when they come here, they do meditate. And this is the library, a huge library. We have an international standard library in our university, and there are so many volumes and books we have. And this is the psychology laboratory, where there are so many activities going on inside the psychology, sports psychology especially, sports psychology laboratory. And this is measurement and sports training laboratory, where the physical education department is involved with these kind of measurements. And here comes the human performance laboratory. Again, the physical education department is doing wonderful experiments with human performance. And this is the ICT lab, where we have all kinds of facilities, and where the research scholars and MPhil scholars will do. This is exercise physiology lab, where we have the VO2 how to find the VO2 max and body composition analysis, etc. And this is the technology lab, and this is an anatomy lab, human anatomy lab, where we could see so many slides over there. And this is the open air theater which we have, and this is the horse stable, where we have the horses and stable. And yeah, this building is a boys hostel and women's hostel and a men hostel. And this is the velodrome, nice velodrome we have. And the viewers, please make a note that we have all kinds of facility. This is a beautiful indoor stadium, where we have, if you go inside, we have more than 500 students can sit, or viewers can sit and watch what is going on inside. And these are all the movable apparatus which we have for all kinds of activities inside. And this is our Vice Chancellor quarters and Registrar quarters, and we do have staff quarters. And these are all the play fields and football, volleyball, cricket, oval, and other games facilities also we have. And these are all, yeah, football field you can see. And as you see this slide, this is the biomechanics lab. Yesterday, Tyagarajan sir was telling about the big, huge biomechanics center is going to come up. And we have construction is going on. In the first day, I was telling that RUSA fund, madam is able to do all these kind of constructions regarding the table tennis, badminton academy and synthetic track as well. It is going to come up, and it is on process. And thank you very much for viewing this clippings on TNPESU. Now, on behalf of the participants and the viewers, may I now request Dr. Malai Mandal, exercise physiologist and scientific officers from SAI, Bangalore, to share his experience about this webinar. Sir, please. Sir is, I couldn't recognize you with this huge beard because of the lockdown. He is like this. And sir, please.
Coming. Thank you very much, Grace ma'am. And it's an immense pleasure for me to be the part of this webinar. Really, it is very, very encouraging. And I'm very, very thankful to all the participants and particularly all the speakers, those who have given the unconditional support. So let me start with the Jayashree ma'am, the first lecture, it was in that regarding the motivation. So it's a tremendous that helpful for the sports persons. And according to me, the best motivation of a sports person is the participating for the nation and helping the nations. That is the biggest motivation for a sportsman, and not only the sportsman, and those who are indirectly and directly helping the sports persons, like all the sports universities, all the sports scientists, all the trainers, all the physical educationists. For them, it's a great motivation when they're thinking that we are just helping the nations. And the main motivation for the athlete, when it is inculcated in their mind that the country's the tricolor, the flying the highest level, the tricolor and the national anthem playing is totally dependent on him. So it's a really very good lecture, Jayashree ma'am. And then I'll come to that Dr. Professor Arvind Malik's, that is how to improve the immunity through herb. So it is very, very useful, informative for the sports persons. They will be really benefited, and he told how to be the doping free also to use. Then I'll come to the multi-mams, that different cooking modalities. Really, it's a very good lecture, madam, and particularly the practically you have shown that how to keep intact the food value of the each and every diet. That is very, very important, because while cooking, we may not notice that how many that the different food value it may be degraded. So that, ma'am, it's a very good lecture. Then I'll come to Saini ma'am. Really, the gut health so nicely, even the layman also they can understand. And my sincere request to all the participants, whatever you have acquired from Saini ma'am's lecture, it should be passed on to the common man, the common children, common school boys, school girls. It should be passed on to them. Because why? Because day before yesterday, that according to WHO sources, that COVID-19 it will long lasting forever. So it is the best way to fight COVID is that to improve our immunity. That means the survival of the fittest. So how to improve our immunity? For that, immune boosting diet. What should be the immune boosting diet? Already Saini ma'am told about that. And at the same time, the immune boosting lifestyle. So these things we should, it is our moral duty to incorporate, to pass on this message to the common people, because ultimately they will help our countries. Then I will come to this today's another lecture that Devi ma'am, really whatever that information you have given, that is valuable information you have given regarding the genetics you told. And really we are also trying to establish our genetic lab. We are trying to do that, particularly working on that proteomics, genomics, epigenetics, and particularly gene knockout. Although gene knockout, madam, this is actually, it comes under doping, which basically it has been used for the therapeutic use purposes. And next I'll come to last but not the least, this Dr. Tyagarajan sir. Really, you are doing a wonderful job, and I have no hesitation to admit right now in India, the CSS Ramchandra University, that is the best sports science lab in India. And really, maybe in 45 minutes you have shown all the things. Participants there, they may be thinking it is very easy, but I know how difficult a sports scientist job, particularly evaluating the country's cream athletes. It is very, 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 very sensitive matter, because particularly being an exercise physiologist, I have evaluated more than 10,000 athletes, the VO2 max. It is that just one word, that VO2 max. It looks like very easy, but assessing on VO2 max, when you are doing the high, that maximum exercise condition, you are assessing their VO2 max. This is not only VO2 max. Along with the VO2 max, there are so many other parameters like breathing equivalent, breathing economy, that RDR, and whether he has reached VO2 max when somebody, that athlete is running on 22 kilometers per hour speed. It is very, very sensitive. First, we have to see the safety of the athletes, because assessing the athlete in exercising condition, it is not less than any that major surgery like this. So I am very, very thankful to Tyagarajan sir. Nicely, great work you have done. So I am thankful to the university, VC ma'am, Grace ma'am, to give me the opportunity to share my views. Thank you very much. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Mandal sir. It was indeed a very good response from your side, and enumerating all the points which was covered by all the speakers. And now, on behalf of all the viewers, the participation certificate will be issued to Malai Mandal sir. On behalf of all the viewers, you please receive this, and it's a great honor for you to give this certificate. And all the viewers, please note that after filling up of the feedback form, you will be getting the certificates, e-certificate through your mail. I repeat, the certificates will be issued all the viewers, those who have participated and registered yourself with your full name and institution. You will be getting the certificates through email. Thank you. I would like to present a certificate, appreciation certificate to Mr. Manoj and Dr. Uma. Madam, with the presence of Madam, Madam was telling that the core team of organizing this webinar is because of Mr. Manoj and Dr. Uma. Mr. Manoj was helping me a lot in coordinating everything right from the beginning till end. So I am wholeheartedly thank Mr. Manoj, and please receive the certificate of appreciation.
Dr. Grace needs, she deserves a big applause from all of us on behalf of Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University. I give you a big hug, Dr. Grace. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I wanted to present a certificate on behalf of Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University and Madam to Mr. Dr. Uma for helping us regarding the technological point. And Uma, can you put the certificates, please?
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am.
Yeah. I would like to appreciate their work, Dr. Manoj and Dr. Uma. They are the backbone and two pillars behind this successful conduct of this national webinar. So we proudly present the certificates to Manoj and the coordinator and the technician, Ms. Dr. Uma. I thank God Almighty for having given me the wisdom, knowledge and strength to conduct this live webinar for 3 days. My deepest and heartfelt thanks to our Madam Vice Chancellor for her immediate permission, timely help, and she was all along with us towards the successful conduct of this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I take this opportunity to thank our registrar and other officers of the university and the very good speakers, all 6 speakers who has presented wonderful topics on this live webinar. And thank you so much, Jayashri madam, Arvind sir, Banti ma'am, Tyagarajan sir, Shiny ma'am, and Devi ma'am. So once again, I thank all the speakers for excellent presentation. It's a great honor for me to thank the viewers from all over the country viewing all 3 days, and without your support, it would not have been possible. And thank you so much once again, all the viewers. I salute all the participants for attending all 3 days of webinar and asking many questions and clarifying your doubts. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my son, daughter, and Mr. Pradeep for creating, designing, and developing the wonderful certificates. I thank all the well-wishers who are directly and indirectly helping us to conduct this webinar. Thank you once again, all of you, and hope we will see you soon in upcoming international live webinar on sports science, which is going to be organized by Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University with collaboration with Center for Sports Science, Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education and Research. Once again, thank you all very much, and thank you. Stay safe and be healthy. And this webinar would have been would have been easy by seeing all you in the online, but it was very tough to have this kind of seminar sitting at home and doing all kinds of connectivity between the technicians, the coordinators, the viewers, the speakers, and so on and so forth. So even though, as madam said, that it was motivation and encouragement given by our madam vice chancellor, so that I could able to do this work as a satisfactory one. and we will hope so, maybe a better one for the international conference. Thank you so much once again, all the viewers, and stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you so much, and thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful opportunity. யூஸ்லெஸ் மாதிரி பண்ணிட்டா லீவ் பண்ணிட்டேன்.